Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome back to another video for EVE Online. In today's video, I want to share something a little bit special with you. We're going to be talking about the Minmatar Republic's Breacher frigate, a Tech 1 frigate that, honestly, I often forget even exists. It's weird because I'm a Minmatar fanboy and I really like missiles, so you'd think this would be one of my most flown ships. And whilst I do use it occasionally for PvP and faction warfare, and I promise, yes, eventually I will get around to doing some PvP videos as well, when it comes to PvE, I kind of tend to forget this ship even exists. But let's get to the point of this one, shall we, before I ramble on for an hour. I have recently discovered a fit for the Breacher that can run every single one of the Tranquil Abyssal Dead Spaces, and the ship and fit costs less than 1 million ISK. And no, you didn't hear that wrong. 1 million ISK is all you will lose, other than, obviously, any loot that you're carrying, when you fly this vessel, and you can run all of the different Tranquil Abyssal Dead Spaces. It's not perfect, it's not going to do every single one of them every single time, but it is ridiculously cheap, and therefore if you do happen to get a really bad roll and lose it, well, oh well, you kind of just pick yourself up, dust yourself down, grab the next one, and off you go, right? It's really that straightforward. Anyway, if you do enjoy this video, if it makes you chuckle, if it amazes you the way it amazes me, then please do hit like on it and drop a comment down below. Both of those things massively help the channel out. Basically teaches YouTube that my content's worth watching and thus to recommend it to more people. Completely free for you to do, takes a couple of seconds, means the universe to me. So please, 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 please do that. Thank you. If you do want to go the extra mile to support this channel and content like this as well, I do have a Patreon page, a PayPal tip jar, and a Redbubble merchandise store, all linked in the description, and the tip jar is actually linked there now. Huzzah! Thank you everyone who pointed that one out to me. And finally, if you are new to EVE Online and watching this for the first time, this is a Tech 1 frigate. I kind of assume it's going to, appeal to a lot of newer players. Then there is also a referral link in the description. Click that bad boy, sign into your EVE account, earn yourself 1 million free skill points. Sounds cool, right? I get a little kickback for it, you get 1 million free skill points, everybody's a winner. Finally, come join the Cat Skull Discord in the description down below as well. Love to have you as part of the community chat, all things EVE Online and other space games. Come join us, have a great time. Otherwise, all of that said and done then, let's jump right into talking about the Minmatar Republic's Tech 1 frigate, the Breacher. Being a Tech 1 frigate, the Breacher's traits and ship characteristics are actually pretty straightforward. It's just Minmatar frigate that you need to skill into for this, and for every level of Minmatar frigate you have, you're going to get a 5% bonus to light missile and rocket rate of fire, alongside a 7.5% bonus to shield booster amount. You're going to want to get this to at least 4. Fortunately, that's a very short skill train. If you're using that 1 million free skill points I just mentioned as well, then you can do that really, really quickly and easily. That's going to give you a 20% bonus to light missile and rocket rate of fire, faster firing missiles means more damage, and a 30% bonus to shield booster amount. Obviously, if you can train this up to Minmatar Frigate 5, well worth doing, but again, make that something that you're going to be using for other ships as well. If you're using this just as an entry point to Abyssals and you're never going to touch a Minmatar Frigate again, ever, first of all, what's wrong with you? They are some of the greatest ships in the game, in my opinion, but I do get it, some people are mistaken and want to go for a Mar or Galente or things like that. Caldari I'll allow, but a Mar and Galente, really? What are you doing with your life? Anyway, so yeah, ultimately, I would recommend getting this to Minmatar Frigate 4. Minmatar Frigate 5 is going to help because it's just that extra little bit of rate of fire, extra bit of damage, extra bit of survivability, courtesy of the shield booster. Now, if we actually take a look at the fit here, I need to load in some weaponry on this because I've not done that ahead of time. Oops, nice and easy for me to do though. Let's just go into the charges here. All we need is just some Inferno Rockets. That'll do the job nicely, right? So here we are, simulated fit here. You can see we are getting 88.6 DPS out of this. That does include the drones, and the average cost of this ship is 753,000 ISK. Yeah, it's dirt cheap. It's ridiculous. Yes, you're going to pay a little bit more based on the ammunition that you're bringing with you, but that's kind of the point in this one, that bringing ammunition is still going to keep you below 1 million ISK. It's insane. So, how do we make this work? Well, with the high slots, I'm running here DE 5200 rocket launchers. I've got Inferno rockets, but I'll also carry Mjolnirs and all of that jazz as well. I'll carry different for each of the rockets. Carry at least 600 per run. I like to carry basically 1,000 minimum, and I'll dock up every 2 or 3 abyssals just to reload my rockets. And maybe replace my drones, because, yeah, those do tend to die. I just go with 2 Hobgoblin Is in this. That's really all you need for abyssals in this kind of ship. It's enough. You've got a 10-kilometer flight range there. It's not huge, but it is going to be enough. You can get close to enemies. Sometimes you have to approach rather than orbit, but I do just tend to have my orbit set to 500 meters and just go for it. It's really quite straightforward. Our mid slots here, I've gone for a 1 meganewton YS8 compact afterburner. That's going to keep us moving nice and quickly. Decent top speed here, 1103. Obviously, if you haven't got skills as high as mine, that will be lower, but it's still a fairly nimble ship. It is a Minmatar frigate after all. You expect it to be nimble and quick moving, and it is. Then for tank, I've gone for a medium Clarity Ward Enduring Shield Booster. This is just going to allow us to keep basically boosting our shield back up from any incoming damage. And honestly, I have yet to actually lose this to incoming damage. The only thing that has ever killed me in an Abyssal Dead Space, as the Catskull crew have been watching me run this absolute beast of a ship, can attest to, the only thing that's killed me is not having enough DPS to actually take out a target, which we'll talk about later, but that then involved me suiciding out of the arena because it was the first room. That is going to happen sometimes. As I said, this is not a perfect fit. It's not going to run everything, but it can run everything, if that makes sense. You can run each of the different Tranquil Abyssals, but there are going to be some rooms that do, sadly, just get you killed. But for the cost of less than 1 million ISK, it's kind of like, oh well, back I go, and I'll just run again and hope I don't get that room. It's rare. I ran about 9 or 10 Abyssals in a row the other night and didn't get any of them. I then came in another day, I got another 3 Abyssals in, and then bam, I had a Disparu troop in a Dark Abyssal, and that did cause me some problems. That did unfortunately cost the ship, but then I went back and did like 3 or 4 more Abyssals after and was absolutely fine. So, you know, it kind of works out, right? Other mid slots, then a small compact lead acid cap battery just to keep our capacitor up. You can see we are actually capacitor stable with everything running, obviously not under any form of neutralization, but then you just cycle that shield booster as required, and we do have a missile guidance computer 1. This adds a little bit of extra range and does give us a little bit of extra application as well. We don't even need to fit a script in this. Having it running on just its basic attributes here is absolutely fine. That is going to do all that we need it to do. It's just a mid slot that's going to help us out. You could even put a web in here, but I find the webs are a little bit more expensive. Do push that cost up. Not that it really matters, let's be fair. For the low slots, then, we have an AEK compact drone damage amplifier and 2 Mark I compact capacitor flux coils. All, again, just about keeping that capacitor going so we can keep the medium shield booster running. Really straightforward ship. Literally set your default orbit to 500 meters, just orbit a target, shoot it with your rockets. Make sure you are checking the damage type of rockets that you should be using against your opponent. Rip them to shreds, move into the loot the cache and move into the next room, rinse and repeat. You'll notice we don't even have any rigs in this ship. We're keeping the cost right down. Obviously, if you like this and you enjoy the Breacher, yeah, you can start to fit this out a little bit higher. Maybe add some missile damage rigs in there or some shield boosters. Get that DPS up a little bit. It is not enough to deal with everything, as I said, but it's enough to deal with a ridiculous amount of stuff. If you wanted to, you can tech to the rocket launchers, add some missile damage rigs, use either Caldari Navy rockets or even things like Fury rockets, and you'll suddenly find that you can push that DPS actually up to a ridiculous level and do really well. It costs a lot more, but you will be able to clear everything. This is a great starting point, and kind of I just want to showcase the fact you could take a Breacher that costs less than 1 million ISK and theoretically run every single one of the Tranquil Abyssal Dead Spaces. So anyway, without further ado, let's actually prove it can do this, right? So we're going to give this a trial by Firestorm, I think it was that Srondor said in Corp Chat the other day. It made me chuckle. Anyway, I do apologise for the quality of the footage here. I've only recently figured out how to get this laptop, this stand-in laptop at the moment, running at the proper 1080p rather than 720, but so, yeah, footage is a little bit awful. Now, in this Tranquil Firestorm, the first room I've come up against is a attacker pacifier Disparu troop. This is one of those rooms that people absolutely hate, and in most of the Abyssal Dead Spaces, a Disparu troop may be the end of you, especially in the dark. The dark, this fit simply cannot handle it. There's no two ways about that. However, if you are in a Firestorm, a Gamma, an Electrical, or an Exotic, then as long as you're using the right damage type, you can actually kill a Disparu troop if you're overheating carefully. So you can see I'm trying to orbit at 6,000 meters at this point of time in the testing. Later on I figured actually I'm just going to orbit at 500 and that does things actually better. But okay, we've opened up the cache, we're going to go after the Disparu troop now to take this out. Now the wonderful thing about these guys is that they use Vorton projectors. Vorton projectors hit a target and everything else nearby, which means drones die very quickly to any of these Disparu troops. That's why I don't really launch the drones early on. Also, I do strongly recommend not going for the cache first, go for the enemies first, because a lot of the enemies in this do seem to like to go to the very edge of the arena, and that puts me in a very dangerous position. Anyway, you can see I'm approaching the Disparu troop now to get in range of it, start hitting with those rockets. My drones, I've launched them, but I've been an idiot and forgotten to actually activate them against the target. Again, the wonders of using a temporary stand-in laptop are that none of my keybinds, shortcuts, or general settings have carried across, and all those little things that I've gone in the past, oh yeah, I needed to do that, I've kind of not done yet on this particular machine, so there we go. Anyway, you'll see I am about to fly out of the arena briefly. Fortunately, the ship can handle a few seconds outside of the arena. Doesn't take long for me to just get back inside, keep going after that Disparu troop, and you'll see that we are actually breaking its tank, even without the drones. Sending the drones in now, they're getting yellow boxed. I'm an idiot, I don't pull them back, they're going to go down in seconds, but heck, to be completely fair, even if I had pulled them back, they're going to go down very, very quickly anyway because of that Vorton projector. Even if it's shooting at me with the Vorton projector, it will still hit the drones, and you'll see how quickly those go down. So I'm going to keep them out just for the extra DPS at this point, really, while I pull this Disparu troop down. Now you'll see I've started orbiting a lot closer. That does mean that I'm less likely to go back out of the arena, because going out of the arena does really, really hurt. And it kind of looks pretty though, you know, got to admit. But anyway, yeah, we're not here for how pretty the edge of the arena looks. We are trying to kill these guys quickly, and of course they're fast moving as well, which means if they are moving directly away from us, they do tend to outrange our rockets. That's why I approach quite a lot at this point in time. As I said, later on I just set my default orbit to 500 meters and then just would hit orbit on a target, because then you're approaching it, and when you're close enough you orbit it as well, so you don't just kind of fly straight at it, you do get a little bit of a curve. You don't just bounce off the front of it if it does happen to stop stationary. Now you'll see there is a little bit, one of the things about the Disparu troops is that they do have a rather hefty amount of regen, so you do need a good amount of DPS to actually take care of them. Now normally we recommend about 120, 125 DPS to take out a Disparu troop. This ship obviously only has 88. Fortunately, by exploiting the weaknesses inherent thanks to the weather of the dead space, in this case obviously we're in a firestorm, so that is lower thermal resistances, we can attack it and actually do more damage than we normally would at that point in time to get through and punch through into the actual tank of that ship. Also, having thermal drones on that particular run would have helped, because again, using thermal drones against an enemy in a Firestorm Abyssal means better damage, right? If you do find that, like me, you're just not quite cutting that tank, you may have to overheat. It does mean that overheating, it's not vital for most runs and most rooms with this, but again, I wanted to showcase the pacifier Disparu troops for this, because, yeah, those, they're one of those things that a lot of people are like, oh, well, what happens if you're up against a Disparu? And I kind of want to prove that you can still take it down. I want to show that this fit can do it. Ultimately, in darks, as I said, no, if you kind of get a pacifier Disparu in a dark abyssal, I tend to just fly straight out of the arena, because there's no point. You're not going to break the tank because you don't have the advantage of the weaknesses to go on. It's a bit of a rough run, but again, that's kind of the point. This is not meant to be a brilliant ship for it. It's more the fact that you can do it for 1 million ISK. 1 million ISK. So, oh no, I happen to get a Disparu troop in my Dark Abyssal. Let's just die and go again. Like, especially if you're one of these people based in sort of, your own station, not in J-Space, somewhere that you can set at home. And you just warp out and you can bring a load of these fits in super cheap in just a hauler or something. Just have a load of those fits around. If you lose one, you just literally undock the next one and keep going. Like, oh no, you lost 1 million ISK. How awful. Terrible, isn't it? But there we are. We see we're now actually finally breaking through that Disparu Troop pacifier. This should go down in the next few moments. It does take a little bit of time to go through these, even in the Firestorms and things, but we're getting there. We're getting there. I should have the guidance computer active, because obviously that does have the benefits of just giving me that little bit of extra application. Don't know why I turned it off at this point in time. I think at this point in time I'm being an idiot. It's late at night and I'm just kind of going, oh yeah, I don't need the extra range because I'm up close. It's like, yes, but it's also application, and that does help a little bit with Tech 1 rockets. But there we go. Yeah, we're well through Hull now, and down it finally goes. Quite a few minutes in to take that, but I did want to prove that it can do it. Because again, otherwise I know I'm going to get a load of people in the comment section going, but what happens if you go up against this? Yeah, you know what? You go up against a devoted knight, you just die. Just die. If you go up against a devoted knight, just die. Grab another one and run again. That's the beauty of this fit, that you don't care if you lose the ship. You're running a clean clone, you're running a cheap, less than 1 million ISK ship. It's like, oh, what's the problem here? What's the problem? You can see I've got a decent amount of ISK actually in my cargo hold at this point. I'm nearly on 4 million ISK already. So having run a couple of these sites, I've already quadrupled the cost of this ship. That's the beauty of this. That's the beauty of this. So, oh no, I happened to die and lose one. Well, I made 4 million and I lost 1 million. So let's now get, one of those 1 million ISK ships back, and off we go again, and so on and so forth. Just kind of keep going. You just lose a ship, you undock another one, and you keep going, because they are dirt freaking cheap. Now we've got a Lucid Aegis in this second room. This is the Sleeper Cruiser. Not too much of a problem. Sorry, Sleeper Cruiser? Sleeper Frigate. Not too much of a problem to take this one out. We're just going to literally, again, hit on the orbit on that approach. It would be nice to have the drones for the extra DPS at this point, but I threw those stupidly to their death. Against the Disparu troop. Being a sleeper, you can see it's basically omni-resist, so we don't have to worry about that. We can just get nice and close and wee fly around it in an orbit. Again, at this point, I really should have that orbit set to just 500, just to definitely be within range of those rockets, so there's nothing flying away. Because this bad boy does like to try and outrun me, and he does try and outrun me, and I'm just like, no, get back here. You are dying today. You may not think you are, but you're going to. You're going to, gradually, slowly. You can see him halfway through its armor at the moment. Not much of a problem. Just orbit, let those rockets do their thing. If you do have any thermal paste, obviously it'd be nice to repair, but that's just adding extra cost, right? Who cares? Genuinely, I know it sounds so blasé, but that's the entire point of this fit. It is a who cares fit. You just throw it out there, you have fun with it, and if you happen to get blown up, you just grab another one and go again. Oh no. It's literally the PvPer's dream. It's that throwaway ship that you just do not have to worry about. Anyway, Lucid Aegis about to go down. We are now into Hull. No resistances on its hull, so we can punch through that just that little bit faster. Same damage, obviously hitting it, but lower resistances means more applied damage. There we are, Lucid Aegis down to half structure. 1/3 structure remaining. Down it goes, down it goes, down it goes. Getting ready now to take out the biocompetitive cache. Boom, down goes the Aegis, which I think actually was also kill so many sleepers in the Abyss was a mission I had today, so that's always nice to get to complete those. Biocompetitive cache goes down in 3 hits. Or rather, would go down in 3 hits if I didn't have to reload part way through. Hey, there we go. Boom, reloaded. Destroy, and loot. And then off we go into room number 3. Just going to loot that cache, see how much extra we get. Drifting ever closer. Oh, that's quite a nice room, actually. That was like another 500,000, just half of the ship's cost back, in fact more than half the ship's cost back, in one room. Just tell me that's not awesome. Come on, just tell me that's not awesome. That's amazing. I love that. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, third and final room. What are we up against in this one? It's an Ephialtes Lancer. Again, this is the cruiser we're up against. This is going to take a little bit longer to kill, possibly. So we're just going to do the usual orbit, get into range of it. I've still got the orbit set at 6,000 meters. Don't know if it was this run or one of the ones after it that I actually changed that back. And oof, nasty hit there. Nasty hit, because I'm flying pretty much in a straight line against a cruiser. Yeah. Not ideal, but there we are. And you can see that Ephialtes Lancer now turning around. It's trying to pull away from me. It's running towards the edge of the arena. And because it's sort of sitting at 8-9 kilometers, by time my rockets have launched out of my ship at that target, it's moved beyond their actual 9-kilometer range. This, I think, is probably the one where I do go, you know what, let's get into that range. Let's set the orbit a little bit tighter. I'm just using approach at this point in time, which, in fairness, kind of gets the job done. It's missiles, so it's absolute velocity that matters on how much damage it does back to me. So it doesn't matter too much if I'm flying in a straight line at it. But off we go. Just going to try and catch up with this and hopefully do so before we reach the edge of the arena and sail off into the endless abyss. You can see I'm still not applying damage though, even though I'm within 7 kilometers range at this point. Under 7 kilometers, into the 6 kilometers now, and I'm still only just now hitting. That's because obviously this is now moving away from me at a speed that means that where it was when I launched the missiles and where it is when the missiles actually reach that point, it's gone over a total of 9-10 kilometers in distance, so it's not quite working. There we are. Yep, so let's approach. I think this is where I figure out that actually orbiting at 500 is the way to go. Because it also keeps me in the arena. Look at that. Oh, the Ephialtes Lancer comes right to the edge of the arena, and I'm just like, nope, I'm not flying out. I am hot on its tail, sticking right up close and personal, brawling with those rockets. We're just going to orbit at ridiculously close range. At this point, I do turn off the tracking computer, the guidance computer, because we don't need it at this point. The range doesn't matter, and my application is already near perfect against this because it is a cruiser, and I'm using rockets, so we're fine. I can save Capacitor a little bit on that, and just worry about burning through that. Obviously, I am still cap stable. I could just leave it on. I'm just one of those people who gets into that habit of switching off modules when they're not in use. I think it's a good habit to get into. Even on a ship like this where we can leave everything running, it's good to just not, because it means when you're in a ship that you can't leave everything running, your default operation mode in your head isn't just leave everything running. You are used to switching things on and off when needed. But you can see quite comfortably that Ephialtes Lancer is going down. The time limit is not tight enough that this is going to cause any problems for us, so I may as well start to do the outro at this point in time. I just wanted to prove that you can fly a breacher in abyssal dead spaces for less than 1 million ISK. I just think that is so insanely cool. Yes, obviously, if you want this to be truly viable, you're going to need to bling it out a bit more, but if you're like a day one player, 1 million ISK into a breacher just to fly around, run some abyssals. If you lose a couple of breachers, oh well, you learn, and you can easily make more than their value back. Like in one run, you'll have made this thing's cost back easily and in profit. On a good run, you'll actually have got enough to buy a spare one. And still be in profit, and just so on and so forth. You can grab a small collection of these and just keep running and just grow a load of ISK really early on in your career in EVE Online. To me, that's just a really cool fit, and it's a breacher. I do quite like the breacher. I may forget it exists a lot, but it's a cool looking ship. There we are. There's the moment that I finally decided, you know what, I may as well just set my orbit at 500. Anyway, folks, let me know how you get on with this one. Have you got a fit that you think is equally as meme-worthy? Let me know in the comment section down below. Otherwise, thank you for watching this right the way through to the end. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden!